then you can actually throw, put down some threats that you can protect. I don't know. I think Spirit Bonds is going to be one of the initial catalysts that change everything.
Can't surprise you, too. A card that good, designed by Justin Gary.
Oh, yeah. Justin Gary, many design credits, including designing designing the most powerful World of Warcraft set of all time at the time. And I think Stone, I could actually, I have to see how many creatures are in Jesse's deck, but I could actually see Spirit Bonds in here.
He's got 2 Pack Rats, 3 Sylvan Caryatids, 1 Obsidian Ghost Council, 4 Voice of Resurgence, 3 Courser of Crewfix, and 3 copies of Blood Baron Rescopa. And we can count, of course, Advent of the Worm. There are 4 of those as well.
Yeah, those don't count for the actual, the actual Spirit Bonds itself. But I don't think that's a reason you actually have to take them out. I think that the Spirit Bonds is just that good.
Abrupt Decay from Harper is going to take care of Pack Rat. Now here's a copy of Voice of Resurgence. You see Harper is playing Junk mid-range, deck that Jeff Hoogland put on the map during Season 2 when he made top 8 in Cincinnati with Junk mid-range once Journey to Nyx came out. Of course, before that we saw Reed and Duke just finish outside of the Season 1 Invitational top 8 playing Junk in Standard. So this deck certainly does have a pedigree. People are drawn to this deck because, hey, there are just a lot of powerful cards in these 3 colors, as Alawar is going to play another copy of Pack Rat before passing the turn back.
I want to know when they're going to get the Fleece Mane Lions in there. Holler back when you got Fleece Mane Lion.
Maybe Voice of Resurgence has got to go.
No. I'm not, that's not, no.
Maybe tag team?
I don't know. That's not the one I'd be looking to cut. Oh, my God, what I would do with a Voice of Resurgence and block. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Harper going to play an Overgrown Tomb tapped. He's going to go reaching for some mana here. This will be 3. This is the Hero's Downfall to get Pack Rat off the table again.
This is a hot little brew.
Yeah, this feels like a lot of times just your kind of Junk mid-range deck. It's just 3 colors, some pretty good mana, and some really busted cards.
Oh, my God, he's just got good cards up and down. What a good time. No Elspeth, though, huh?
None of those,
No Elspeth. All right. It's got a Ajani, 5-drop Ajani. That's something.
There's Underworld Connections. Alawar looking to rebuild after losing his 2 Pack Rats. Harper gonna untap with a Voice, a couple of lands, and a Sylvan Caryatid. There's another Voice of Resurgence over there in Harper's hand. A Scry land and Temple of Plenty, and the very powerful Advent of the Worm.
Do you need Sylvan Caryatid in this deck?
I think it's a much different deck when it has it on turn 2 than when it doesn't. But also, this is a different take. The builds of Junk that I see that have Caryatid have a very higher curve, like a much higher curve.
He's got Advent of the Worm, Blood Baron, Obsidat, Ajani, Whip of Air. He's got a few things, but man, maybe you just
going.
What if you just play a 2-on-2, a 3-on-3, a 4-on-4, and a 5-on-5, and just be like,
that's cool with me. Just give the beatdowns.
Dude.
You know I'm a fan of the beatdowns. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. The only problem, I think, with Fleece Mane Line is the Bile Blight. Bile Blight just seems so awesome right now.
It's pretty good.
So Thoughtseize, kind of a response we're going to see here.
I think we're going to see Advent of the Worm show up to the party, and that's exactly what does happen. So Harper is going to lose his copy of Voice of Resurgence in hand, but a 5/5 Worm token will be coming into play in just a moment. And so there goes Voice. So now all the cards are on the table here for Jesse, outside of mystery draws, of course. And Alawar knows what he needs to deal with. I think the most important right now is getting that 5/5 Worm off the table.
Yeah, things are going very well for Raid. He's been able to minimize the amount of pressure on him, and with this Underworld Connections and enough life to actually fuel it. Oh, that was timely.
That was a good draw.
That was real timely.
From Jesse Harper. That is a copy of a Johnny Mentor of Heroes. And that elevator only goes up.
I kind of like 3 counters in the Voice. What do you think?
I like giving the beatdowns. I like getting aggressive. Looks like he wants to find a new card here. Looks like Courser may be the option, and that is what Harper will take. But for Raid, he's got to pick up the pace now.
Yeah, Raid's like, his life total is starting to be under pressure, but he's going to be facing some lethal threats pretty quickly. He needs a Hero's Downfall ASAP.
Alawar's going to take a draw. You see another swamp in the hand. There's already one hanging out there. Of course, Connections has not been activated yet this turn, as Alawar is at 10. There's also a Gray Merchant over there that could maybe help stabilize things a little bit, but for how long? Yeah,
if you can't get a Johnny off the table, all you're really doing is treading water.
Another Gray Merchant was the draw. Maybe we'll run a new game plan. A Dome You Out with Gray Merchant of Asphodel game plan.
You think he's going to be able to do 100 damage that way, huh?
That's a lot.
120.
Yep. See what the kid's made of. Gonna start by playing that 6th land, it looks like. No Mutavaults among those lands just yet. And is it time to tap 5 mana? Or do we have something better to do? This looks like this may be 4, so yeah, we'll see what Alawar wants to do. The mono black deck is mighty powerful. It can work its way out of some very bad situations. But Alawar wants to make sure he knows exactly what Ajani does once again. Of course, we saw the +1 of looking at the top 4. You can select an aura, creature, or planeswalker. But I think the next time we might see the distribute 3+1/+1 counters. And then hopefully we'll get to see the ultimate.
I don't know. I got a feeling he might just be on the impulse every time, because if you're going to put the counters down, it seems like you want to lead with that, but he might just need to in order to, particularly if he's facing 2 connections now. Man.
Harper, will he pump the voice?
It's also nice to lead with the Courser.
Yeah?
Just so that you can see your top card, because you might want, depending on what your top card is, you might want to reset the top of your library.
Yep. There are definitely some big things to draw to right now. We're going up to 6, and we are going to take a look at the top cards yet again. There's a voice, a pack rat, an ultimate price, and a hero's downfall. Pack rat will be the selection.
Diversifying his attack.
Can play multiple spells this turn if you'd like. In Pack Rat and a Courser. Can just play Pack Rat and activate Pack Rat, discarding a card. We'll see what route Harper does want to take. Gonna play Pack Rat here. Here comes the voice. Alawar gonna go down to 7. Let's make it 6 after our connections activation, but some of this life will be recouped via Grey Merchant in just a moment, I believe, as Alawar will take another draw here. Can he keep his head above water long enough? I got to imagine it's Grey Merchant this turn.
It's an interesting decision pushing on, going all in on Pack Rats. Just having durable threats seems like it's also a nice angle, you know, if you just play out like Voice of Resurgence and Courser Prefix.
Yeah.
But if Raid does not have a Bio Blight, he's going to be in some trouble very quickly. Fortunately, he has 7 cards.
Yeah, and there are, you know, we see a lot of different versions of Mono Black, but there are 4 copies of Bio Blight in Alawar's deck list this weekend. Sometimes you see 1 or 2, sometimes they're hiding out in the sideboard, but 4 in the main deck. Pretty loud statement there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice clean list. 4s all the way down, with the exception of, you know, obviously just a couple extra spot removal spells rounding out the 33rd and 34th slots.
There's Bio Blight to take care of the Pack Rat. Of course, wants to do it on his turn, so an elemental token doesn't come to play. Harper will take a draw. It's a copy of Godless Shrine. We'll see if now is the time. Looks like we're going back up again. So Advent of the Worm, a Godless Shrine, another copy of Advent, and a Hero's Downfall. Those are all going to the bottom.
Yeah, I really think he's got to get some pressure going here. You know, if an army of +1/+1 counters would be so good right now.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure the game plan here from Harper. I mean, there are definitely some powerful draws in his deck, as he thought he's the top card. But, you know, one can argue that, you know, finding a Blood Baron or an Obsidian isn't as good as just making that voice into a 5/5 or potentially an 8/8.
And the nice thing about bringing the voice up to a 5/5 is not only can it attack through the Grey Merchant, if Alawar has a removal spell, he can then put counters on the elemental token and bash again. You know, Alawar's drawing 3 cards a turn now. You got to punish him.
Yeah, you got to get the game over with, because you can't. I mean, Ajani's powerful, of course, but you can't keep up with that, and you're not working towards an ultimate that's going to have a huge impact on the game either.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, 100 life would make you lose very slowly.
Yes.
But like, he's got, you know, he's got so much going for him. He's got to be pressing this advantage.
Well, 2 new cards there for Alawar. It goes down to 10. We will see what he wants to do on this turn. We saw Gray Merchant last turn. Gray Merchant this turn is pretty appealing, but at the same time, you've got the ground pretty much locked up. And you have to imagine, all right, my opponent is unwilling to actually make his creatures bigger, so I'm probably safe from that for the next couple of turns as well.
Well, so I do think he wants to get down as much devotion as he can because he really wants to set up a giant Gray Merchant turn.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Looks like maybe Gray Merchanting again. So this will be for 2, 4, 6, 8. Harper's going to go down to 6. Alawar's going to go up to 18.
Decides to just lead with the Gray Merchant rather than commit more Nightveil Specters or Desecration Demons to the board.
Not sure if there's a third copy hanging out in hand right now or not.
Looks
there
like
may be a third one.
Like there is.
Yeah. If that's the case, it will be back to back to back. Unless Harper fires off this Thoughtseize.
Which he certainly will, but in the short run, though, he's got to figure out what is he going to do with this Ajani, you know? The Thoughtseize, though, looks like we'll be starting the party.
Now it's time to take a look. There's a third Grid Merchant. That's going to bite the dust right away, along with a Desecration Demon and a Nightveil Specter. So the fourth Grid Merchant will get the job done. Assuming Alawar can find it. Yeah, we're going to see what Harper wants to do with this Ajani. He's going to take it up. And we're going to take a look at the top cards yet again. So, Courser of Kruphix is the only good one among those. The rest will go to the bottom. Top card will be revealed. It's another copy of Ajani.
Man, there would just be plus 1/+1 counters all over the place. But he is trying to grind him out, and that Thoughtseize ensures that, that it's not going to just be a direct damage. And Alawar, though, with a ton of life to work with now, is going to very quickly mount another. I mean, obviously, he's at the very least has access to both the Desecration Demon and Nightveil Specter, but he's going to very quickly draw more answers.
Again, there's the real potential here to see Ajani's ultimate go off, but again, that's more of a losing slowly type thing.
With another Ajani on top, though, it's actually quite good.
Yeah, it's actually kind of appealing, I suppose.
Gaining 100 life actually will give him enough buffer to ride the second one until, you know, assuming Alawar doesn't find a Hero's Downfall. The second Ajani here is actually quite nice. It's like there's a card on top of your deck that's a 5-mana sorcery, gain 100 life. You know, he does need to make forward progress. And a 5/5 Voice of Resurgence or a 5/7 Courser of Kruphix would be a real big step in the right direction. It's interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's obviously very appealing to look for your Blood Barons or Obsidian, but like, you don't need that when you have Ajani. You can just make anybody into a big threat.
Yeah, you've got what you need. Here's a Nightveil Specter. Let's see another one of those in just a moment. Perhaps, excuse me, a Desecration Demon. Alawar is building up a board right now. 3 more mana, maybe another Specter. Looks like the answer is yes. So devotion is through the roof.
Yeah, if Alawar ever finds another, you know, his 4th Gray Merchant, we could be looking at a lot of damage.
Oh, Harper's going to draw the Ajani. The top card now is a Voice of Resurgence. Is it time to maybe gain 100? Oh, yes. It is. So, from 6 to 106. We'll have a 99 here. Looks like our display cannot handle it. Amateur hour here. That's what that is.
We can display a lot of life gains, and I guess 99 is the biggest of them.
That is a disappointment. It's like we've broken Magic Online. Looks like another Ajani will place down here.
We got to put that on the to-do list. As long as this Ajani is in the format, we got to have
you think that would be a good idea?
Yeah, we need to have 3 digits, 3-digit capability.
I guess we'll have to put that in our back-end forums to get that fixed. It's probably for the best. Here's a Voice of Resurgence. A couple more lands. There's a Blood Baron. That's a way to actually win the game. So Harper, to comfortable 106 life, does find a Blood Baron not only in his hand, but on top of his deck from Courser.
Now, only swamps out of Alawar's deck, so he can't cast the Blood Baron until he steals a land from Harper. even with those Night Veil Specters.
It could be back-to-back hits, though.
It could be.
It could take Blood Baron, and then the next one could be a white producing land. Alawar going to take a draw here. Copy of Bile Blight. So we could see some more connections activations.
You know what would be great? Ajani's Ultimate with Underworld Connections. When you've got 100 life, paying 1 a turn to draw an extra card seems like a good time.
We can do that without M15.
Yeah.
We don't even need M15 to do that. That's a good idea. Now that's, dare I say, innovating.
Llanowar Waste, Caves of Koilos. This junk deck could have a much different mana base if it really wanted to.
Is it bad that every deck's just going to have awesome mana now?
Well, I don't know if I would call any mana base with Caves of Koilos awesome. You got to remember, the Apocalypse Pain lands, we remember them fondly because of how much of a dirge of options there were at the time. However, they are not good. They are not that good. They are a necessary evil if you just absolutely are in the market for some untapped dual lands. Temple of Plenty, Temple of Silence, those are some really, really powerful cards.
All right.
Llanowar Waste and Caves of Koilos, that's like if you need it. You can't be that happy about it, though. Only a maniac or a zoo enthusiast would be happy about them.
And I am both. Night Veil's coming across. So, gonna lose a little bit of life here. Not a lot, though. Harper was at 108. Now he goes down to 104. Not too shabby. Assuming that Night Veils are, of course, going upstairs. Okay, actually, I take it back. Let's go back down to 106. Wants to make sure the opponent doesn't get the Blood Baron. Let's see what the top card is. That's what's interesting to me. Okay, it's an ultimate price, so not a white source.
Yeah, the nice thing about sending one of the Spectres after Ajani is that it means that the two Spectres tag team are threatening to kill Ajani next turn.
Oh, there's a Deso Demon.
So wait, did Ajani's loyalty not tick down?
It should tick down, I believe, to 3. Guess we'll have to get that corrected. So now Harper draws. There's an Obzed on top of the deck. So we will get confirmation from our table spotter to make sure that Johnny's loyalty does tick down, as it was pretty clear that got attacked. And there we go. It'll be going back up to 4 here in just a moment anyway, I believe. See a Blood Baron, the ultimate price, and Obzed on top of the deck. Those are the options that Jesse Harper is working with. See if he can find a way to close this game out here. He's got a pretty commanding lead due to the life gain from Harper.
That Blood Baron, solid gold here, as Alawar has just 1 Devour Flesh and is nowhere near being able to kill enough creatures to actually kill the Blood Baron.
He can't get that thing off the table. It's just never going to happen. Banishing Light Obzed, an Advent of the Worm, and a Temple of Malady.
Worth noting, Blood Baron cannot be powered up by Ajani.
Correct.
Protection from white means even you, Ajani. Even you.
Top card there is Sylvan Caryatid. And there looks to be no real great attacks here on the table.
Not without using any +1/+1 counters.
Yes, yeah. That ship has sailed, my friend. As far as I'm concerned, that text is not on Ajani this game. Raid gonna activate Connections. Take a draw. It's another copy of Underworld Connections. Before, the 4th Gray Merchant was going to be lethal. Now it's anything but.
Well, it's still a draw 20.
Yeah, it's not horrible. But it's not the lethal injection that it was going to be. There's a Swamp for the turn.
Yeah, because he's eventually going to need the Gray Merchant just to gain enough life to survive these Blood Baron hits. The Courser of Krufix Voice of Resurgence board doing a good job of holding down the fort, but not really able to make too much forward progress. Alawar, on the other hand, with 3 flyers, definitely you know, at least doing something. He's drawing even more cards and putting some pressure on both Harper's Planeswalker and his life total. The key is going to be finding a Gray Merchant to survive so that he can actually race that Blood Baron, because, you know, Harper obviously at 104 at the moment, and he's going to gain 20 life over the next 5 turns.
Yeah.
So Alawar, nowhere near being able to do 120 damage in that span of time. He's going to need the extra turns of Gray Merchanting for like 20 or whatever.
Well, it looks like Gray Merchant, or excuse me, it looks like Desecration Demon is allowed to attack, along with a couple copies of Nightveil Spectre. So we'll see where these are headed.
See, I almost wonder if you're supposed to sacrifice the Voice of Resurgence, tap the demon, and get a big enough elemental that you can start getting in there.
Yeah, you'll have what looks to be a 5/5 with the potential for more, with more creatures pre-combat. Also, in price, going to take care of Desecration Demon. Looks like some damage will be dealt here, so a couple triggers from Nightveil Spectre. So there's 1 Sylvan Carry added. There's 2 Pack Rat.
Uh-oh.
Pack Rat's definitely a thing. Given how much mana and cards are in hand, that's definitely a thing. I don't know if it's going to be able to race Blood Baron, but it's not irrelevant. Depends on the timing of when Gray Merchant shows up. Assuming that it does here. There's a Bile Blight.
And he has another connections. It may be that he just has to connect even harder, because he has to find the 1 Gray Merchant at all costs. There is no other game plan. There is no other way beyond, I mean, at best, he can try to devour flesh himself to buy himself 1 extra turn. Possibly 2 if he's lucky with Desecration Demon. What a wild game.
Let's see what's next up here for Alawar. There's a Bile Blight. Make it 2 to take care of the Coursers. So slow down the life gain a little bit here for Harper. Top card's going to go back. Those Bile Blights aren't going to be much better anyway. You certainly don't want to cast them on your opponent's turn, so might as well get those out of the way.
Harper at exactly 100 life.
Yep. There's a Pack Rat. And Alawar.
This is a marathon game 1.
Yeah, this is unlike anything I've seen, that's for sure. I'm sure he's wondering if he played a lander for the turn. We'll play one now. And simply pass the turn back over to Harper. Harper's going to untap. He's going to take a draw. It's a copy of Temple of Malady.
Remember, it's important to note, if Alawar takes a single point of damage there, the Blood Baron becomes a 10/10. Or becomes bigger because of the...
I missed that. How about the...
Oh my God,
wow.
Here it is. We see Obsidian draining for 2. That means the Blood Baron is huge. This is it.
If you have 30 or more, which he certainly does, wow, yeah, that's actually going to do it. I completely missed that direction. I thought we had much more Magic to play, but no, you are on top of it. A large Blood Baron firing in there for 10, and Jesse Harper is going to win that game over Aid Alawar. Junk Midrange wins game 1 over Mono Black Devotion.
Yeah, what a crazy end. I mean, and Alawar knew about the Obsidian, but there were so many moving parts in that game, so much stuff going on. And without being able to find the single Gray Merchant, I mean, it's also just really tough to race somebody to 106.
Might be a touch difficult.
Yeah.
Just a touch. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. You've got Raids in front of you. What does Mono Black have here for help?
So he's got a lot of the standard cards. I mean, 4 Lifebane Zombies are going to be just solid gold in this matchup. Being able to hit Blood Baron and Obsidian as missions, 1 and 2, but also being able to clean up Courser of Prefix, Voice of Resurgence, anything like that on occasion. The Lifebane Zombie is also important for being able to pressure the Ajanis that we saw. Beyond that, he has access to Doomblade, Duress, Erebos, God of the Dead, and Drown in Sorrow. None of these are that exciting to me. It's possible you want Erebos, God of the Dead. It's kind of funny that Erebos shuts off Ajani's ultimate, but the extra cards could be potentially good. We saw how important Underworld Connections was to that last matchup.
Do we need a flavor judge ruling on that? Erebos shutting down Ajani? Is that how it should work?
Oh no, Erebos can shut down Ajani.
All right.
It was Elspeth that went after the gods,
okay.
And Erebos is quite the tough guy among the gods. Ajani is much more of a, he's best known for his brother losing to Nico Bolas.
Okay.
Ajani,
Who's that for our viewers at home? The brother?
The brother is not a named character. He's just,
just a loser.
He's why Ajani got vengeant for a while.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah. The real part that the real part that Ajani played was getting in touch with Elspeth. You know, he's got Elspeth's digits. He's like, yo, Elspeth, you mind swinging by this part of the multiverse? I could really use your help. And, you know, Elspeth's like, oh, you're +1? All right, I'm in. I'm doing it, you know? And that's how the book goes, actually.
Okay. That's the exact transcription from the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they elaborate.
Gotcha. I will take a look at this sideboard here very quickly for Harper. He's got 3 copies of Underworld Connections, 3 Mistcutter Hydra, 2 Drowning Sorrow, 2 Bioblight, 2 Lifebane Zombie, Scavenging Ooze, 2 copies of Sin Collector. I expect to see 2 Sin Collectors, some number of Underworld Connections, and potentially the Scavenging Ooze coming in from the sideboard here for Jesse. But while these players do finish shuffling up, we will take a look at our players to watch leaderboard here very quickly coming into this round, so we can see exactly where everybody did stand moving in. I know that Josh Ravitz picked up a loss with Mono Blue Devotion. We've got Gabe Carlton Barnes sitting at 4-0. We watched him. We watched Henry Romero at 4-0 as well. Adam Ruprecht, Greg Peliquin, Josh Ravitz again sitting at 3-1. You see Ian Kendall, Jerry T, Jesse Hampton at 3-1. And unfortunately for Joe Lissette, this was a big weekend to make up some ground. Now, of course, extend his lead since he is in the lead. He's got no ground to make up, but he will not be participating in the elimination rounds due to 2 early losses, but you have to imagine he will continue to play it out to get as many Open Series points as possible.
Grinding.
Absolutely. So again, the options here for Harper: 3 Underworld Connections, 3 Mistcutter Hydra, 2 Drowning Sorrow, 2 Bioblight, 2 Lifebane Zombie, 2 copies of Sin Collector, and a Scavenging Ooze. I expect to see the Ooze, the 2 Sin Collectors, potentially the 2 copies of Bioblight, and then the multiple Underworld Connections join the party.
Yeah, a little bit of, fighting the black deck, fighting fire with fire. If they're trying to grind you out with 1-for-1s and Underworld Connections, having access to your own Underworld Connections is a huge boon. He can even win the Underworld Connections battles a little bit because he has 2 Abrupt Decays, a Golgari Charm, and 2 Banishing Lights to go after Alawar's connections.
So I expect to see a pretty long, grindy affair, much like game number 1 here between Harper and Alawar. Both players able to get some bad cards out of their deck, shore up some weaknesses, and have what'll be a pretty discard-heavy Haymaker-esque affair here with some card draw, some discard, and some other, big creatures just flying around.
Where do you suppose you get the numbers for these junk decks?
Yeah, that's always been my question. I don't really know how they come to the conclusions with the numbers.
You got 1 whip for your 1 Obsidian. You've got 2 Pack Rats. You got, I guess there's 7 spot removal makes sense, kind of spread out between all the different colors. But it does a little bit seem like, God, it's kind of surprising to me to only see 7 temples. I guess I would have just thought that you'd want to have like a lot more.
So you want the full 12? Maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I guess maybe if you were you don't even have 1-drops, so I feel like you just want as much of that stuff as possible, but it may be that you just need to have more untap lands,
Well, you couldn't get me to pass up on temples, so I know where you're coming from. And 12 feels like a lot, but in reality, they're so powerful that you just want to play that many, I think. They're so good. Esper isn't the only deck that can play 12 of them. This deck certainly could as well. Also, the way the numbers are constructed, you're looking for certain cards in certain matchups. Blood Baron in this matchup, for example.
Yep.
Might be something to think about for future junk decks.
I also just think that the 12 temple package is so good with Courser of Kruphix. But I guess this list has 3 Coursers of Kruphix, which I guess there's some amount of diminishing returns on them. But
Temple of Plenty will start things up here for Jesse Harper. Raid with a 2nd swamp before just passing the turn back. Pack Rat is a draw there for Harper. Looks like an Overgrown Tomb will come into play untapped. Harper will go down to 18. And looks like it may be time to deploy that Rat. Can't imagine you're taking 2 otherwise. I suppose a Thoughtseize is a good place to start as well, so it is time to go Thoughtseizing. We've got a Lifebane Zombie, Devour Flesh. Jeez. That's a
Well-
lot of Life Bane zombies. Okay, then.
Yeah.
3 of them, along with the D-Flesh and a Hero's Downfall.
Yeah, it's over for all that Blood Baron Obsidian stuff. Like that's a non-starter.
You can kiss that goodbye. This is part of I think this is some of the appeal to Advent of the Worm,
Yeah.
is that, you know, it is a green and white card, but it happens to be a spell, not a creature. So Thoughtseize will take care of Hero's Downfall, and Alawar will take a draw here, and you have to imagine he's going to deploy one of these zombies in just a moment. Draws a Swamp for the turn. Let's see what's going on in Jesse Harper's hand. Blood Baron, Obsidian, Abrupt Decay, Pack Rat, a couple of lands here, and Godless Shrine and Overgrown Tomb. Well, it just depends on what white creature he wants to take.
Yeah, I mean, presumably you're just going to play a Lifebane Zombie next turn and take whichever one you don't take this turn. So the only question is if somehow you're supposed to take one before the other because of what Harper could potentially draw next turn that might want you to, cause you to change your decision. And he does wisely take the Blood Baron, the more dangerous of the two.
Harper will take a draw. It's a copy of Advent of the Worm.
Which is big.
Yes. It's a card that Alawar does not know about. That's a Godless Shrine. This is a Pack Rat. That'll get in the way of the Lifebane Zombie, but that might be a trade that Alawar is more than happy to make. Because Underworld Connections was the draw here for Raid.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem with sacrificing the rat to block the Lifebane Zombie here is that then you don't have any Devour Flesh insurance for your Advent of the Worm. But Alawar does use the Devour Flesh here anyway.
Yeah, now here's an attack here for 3. Harper will take 3, go down to 15.
So what do you think? Do you play the Overgrown Tomb untapped and just telegraph the Advent of the Worm but get an extra attack in? Or are you supposed to somehow, do you play just the Sylvan Caryatid with Abrupt Decay open? Looks like he is going to go for the Advent of the Worm line, which I like.
I would play the Advent. Give me a 5/5.
Yeah, let's get this party started.
It is pretty transparent what's going on, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Alawar got a couple things he wants to sequence. Does he swing first? How much does it matter? Is it possible he plays the Connections instead of the second Lifebane? I realize, no, he really does need to take, he wants to hit that Obsidian,
Yeah, I imagine he's pretty scared of Obsidian potentially resolving, so here is Lifebane. Wants to go hunting for the Obsidian that he already knows is there. And the rest of the hand here is the Caryatid, the Abrupt Decay, and the very obvious Advent of the Worm. So there goes Obsidian.
Do you think there's any chance you're supposed to take the Caryatid there? Hope he doesn't draw the Obsidian, and then
take it
just
the next turn?
Lifebane the Obsidian next turn? It's a little greedy.
I think that's a lot greedy. I'm going to go with a lot greedy on that one. I think you just take that thing. You can beat that 0-3 wall. So there is Advent of the Worm. Harper goes down to 9 after the attack, and he would have drawn the land.
And he can't just keep the Lifebane Zombie back for a double block because the Abrupt Decay in Harper's hand ensures that would end nothing but sadness.
Oh, yes, the race is certainly on right now. Advent of the Worm looks like it's ready to come to the red zone, and it is. Alawar will go down to 15. You see Harper at 9 right now.
You know what Harper would really be in the market for? A Golgari Charm.
He very good draw right now.
-1.
Alawar with a Swamp in hand. Along with the Connections, another Lifebane Zombie. We'll start by playing that Swamp. Here is Lifebane. So, Caryatid will go away. Maybe an attempt at a bluff there by Harper.
Yeah.
A little surprised not to see either the Sylvan or the land come in.
Well, I think if you're going to do the bluff, you have to hold the card because it's the only one he doesn't know about.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much the bluff does because none of his creatures are blockable anyway.
Yep. Draw was a copy of Courser of Crufix.
Yeah.
Holding the land may have not been so bad simply because Courser can't come down and gain a life, so that's what's going to happen here. Take a look at the top card here for Jesse. It's a Godless Shrine. So that one's going to come in. Gain a little life here, go up to 7. We'll see what the top card is here for Harper from the Courser. It's a Temple of Plenty. That one's not going to help much. I think in just a moment, Mr. Chafin, we'll be heading to a third game here.
Yep.
Not sure if there's any way for Jesse Harper to work his way out of this situation. Lifebane Zombie just proving its power.
Harper does not attack with the worm.
Yeah, slowing down a little bit.
I mean, obviously you're beat given what's on top of your deck, but like, not a ton you can do. That's one of the tough parts about the course of Crufix, is knowing when your fate has been sealed.
Yeah, that's the potential to give away some important information here too, depending on what the next card is. Might reveal a sideboard card over to Alawar. So Alawar can prepare appropriately for the third game. Let's see what this top card is. It's just a Temple of Malady. Yeah, if I'm Harper, I don't show any more cards. I pick him up. That's exactly what he does do. So Raid Alawar will win game number 2. And this match between Junk Midrange and Monoblight Devotion will be headed to a third game here in just a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw right there the power of Lifebane Zombie that just ripped Harper apart. Had a good draw, a good mix of threats, mana, a little bit of interaction. But Lifebane Zombie is just not a realistic fella.
You know what they say?
What do they say?
Only 3 more months left.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Thank goodness. While these two players do shuffle up and potentially re-sideboard, we will talk about our brand new Modern Premier IQs that are coming in Baltimore starting July 19th and 20th. You do see the new schedule there. Standard Open, Swiss only on Saturdays, and on Sundays we will start our elimination rounds of the Standard Open at 8 a.m. We'll transition to our Legacy Open at 9 a.m. and then our Modern Premier IQ at 10 a.m. We've got $5,000 in cash prizes for these Modern Premier IQs. Open points to all participants. Top 4 receive invitations to our invitationals. Enhanced side event prizes and a whole lot more. I know that the Open Series has been hoping to have Modern for some time, and we're glad that we can finally bring it to you guys. Again, it does begin in Baltimore, and just like any other IQ, you can reach out to your local tournament organizer and get these run. We've already got stores doing so in Tampa, Tacoma, Knoxville, Denver, and Roseville. More to come this year and presumably next year. So if you're looking to run a Premier IQ, be it Modern, be it Standard, be it Legacy, be it whatever you want it to be, get in touch with Star City Games. And we look forward to bringing you guys Premier IQs beginning in Baltimore the weekend of July 19th through the 21st, where I will be going to see Paramore do
You're
a concert.
lucky man.
I am a lucky man. But I love Baltimore. Baltimore, there's some cities that stand out to me as magic cities. Baltimore always stood out to me as a magic city. Nationals used to be there. I played in the Nationals there. I've got a lot of friends that play in the Baltimore, Maryland area. You know, it's not Jersey or Atlanta. I think those are other big magic places. But I always think of Baltimore as a magic city.
I always think of you when I think of Paramore.
That's part of the goal.
This came up recently because
really?
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this. So Fun, I believe it's the band Fun, did a cover of the Gautier song Somebody I Used to Know.
That's accurate.
And Paramore, the nice lady from Paramore, what's her name?
Her name is Haley Williams.
Haley,
That's
right.
Hayley.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah. Miss Haley from Paramore actually provided the female vocals on that cover.
I bet it was a delight.
I think it would be right up your alley, but
I've heard it before.
It's
very good.
go.
It's very good.
Yeah.
There is no song that she has sung that I don't think I've heard. I have access to them all. They're on a fantastic tour right now. I'm really looking forward to them. I'm actually flying in a Baltimore day early so I can go to the concert. It should be a fun weekend.
Shout out to Paramore.
Yeah, I know they're watching. So, Haley, if you're in Portland, and I know that you're not, because I know where your tour schedule is, but if you were, come on down to the Portland Convention Center. Come hang out, watch some sweet magic with us. Looks like Jesse Harper is going to take a mulligan, as well. Looks like Alawar as well. So, looks like both players may be beginning this game on 6. Who do you want to go see in concert? Right now, pick one band you could go see. Drop everything. You leave this show. It's time to go see a concert.
Oh, man. So that's tough. When I've really been looking forward to an opportunity to see 9 Inch Nails someday. And
really?
Yeah. But the thing is, I don't listen to quite as much industrial as I did in my ill-spent youth. Who would be... Yeah, the Gathering, they're not in town, so.
They look to be busy.
Yeah, I would be all up on that. God, I'm really not sure, because it's not even a question of whose music do I like the most. If I'm gonna go to a show, I kind of like who puts on a good show, who puts on a whole production.
Yeah, sure.
So probably some pop singer that has some giant, crazy effects, lots of dancing, makes a whole,
Sounds like Justin Timberlake to me.
Could be. I like to see Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake in concert together.
I think they're doing a tour together.
Makes sense. They got like 5 songs with each other these days.
We call that the Print Money Tour. I think that's what that's called. Never have to work a day again tour. Looks like Jesse's
I
want to
see Dr. Dre in concert again.
I think everyone wants to see Dr. Dre, period.
He finally released another single off of Detox.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I don't know if it's like big widespread or whatever, but I was listening to XM, Shade 45 or whatever, the XM station.
Okay.
And they were playing another single off of Detox. And it's actually hilarious because in it, Dre starts, one of the things he's rapping about is how everybody's asking for the album. He's like, you think it's a mistake for me to be slow playing this album? You're the one who's still asking for it years later. Yep. How about I'll just drop one single every couple of years and you'll say thank you? It's like, all right,
there's a bigger plan at work there. I don't know what the end game is, but he's got everybody on a leash.
Yeah, he says Detox coming 2037.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, it's actually pretty awesome, so I definitely recommend checking it out if it exists.
Maybe that was just a figment of your imagination. Maybe you just think you're it. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I got a feeling that it's real, but...
This looks like a mold of 4 here for Jesse Harper.
So far today, we've seen everybody who molds to 4 win very decisively.
He's got a Blood Bear in his hand.
Absolutely.
And a Shrouded Sorrow. He's good.
Shrouded Sorrow was kind of surprising sideboard. Is that just... That's a little fancy.
What that feels like to me is the way that he lost game 2, where he's getting beaten down by 2 Life Bane zombies. And like there's like a follow-up pack rat. He's like, I'm not going to have this happen again. When in reality, I don't think that's what ends up happening a lot of the time. There's another copy of Blood Baron as a draw.
Abrupt Decay, so good here.
I would cast that, and he does not. I don't like that play. No, I do not. There's Narabos.
There's still time. Abrupt Decay, the Underworld.
I would want to get the connections off the table if I could on my mold of 4. There's a Temple Guard. That's going to come into play tapped. Yeah.
Could drown in sorrow right now, scry for 1, look for that land for Blood Baron and try to ride that to victory.
I actually wouldn't hate that. As ridiculous as that sounds, I wouldn't hate it. Here comes Erebos. You can still kill.
Abrupt.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's get one of those off the table. We will allow our opponent to draw a card.
Draw an extra card, though. Yeah. God, he needs a land.
It's there. Oh, I would have.
Yeah.
I would have bet it all.
So Voice of Resurgence comes down, providing a token resistance.
Alawar did activate Underworld Connections. He's at 18 right now. Lost 1 to the Abrupt Decay. Let's see what the fob's going to be. You have to imagine it's going to be some way to turn on Erebos yet again.
Yeah, Erebos is definitely an easy man to turn on. 2 Underworld Connections alone is enough.
And it is on now, and into the red zone we go for 5. A pretty quick block there from Harper. Token will be coming here in just a moment.
Yeah, kind of an early chump block when you might need the Voice of Resurgence token to protect your Blood Baron from a Devoured Flesh, but I guess he just wants to preserve his life total.
And there's another connection. Drew all 4 this game. And Ultimate Price was the draw for Jesse Harper, not what he's looking for.
Yep, Underworld Connections, making sure Alawar has no shortage of options or fuel.
And it's time to activate these things yet again. Looks like a lot like game number 1. That Raid was not able to win, but he had a lot of copies of Underworld Connections that game. We're going to fire for Thoughtseize here.
Soul crushing.
Yeah, you're going to see 2 copies of Blood Baron.
There are 2 Blood Barons, so that's there is that. Do you think he has enough time yet, or is it too late? Because that Erebos is putting a lot of pressure on Harper.
There's potential for it to be too late just because the race doesn't favor Jesse because he won't be able to gain any life. I think that might be the big issue at hand here.
Yeah. How many answers to Erebos does he have? Just 2 Banishing Lights? No deicides in the board or anything?
No deicides in the board. Yeah, just the 2 lights in the main deck. Of course, Golgari Charm does not get it done. So Underworld Connections really, really going to work here for Aid. Gonna play a Mutavault. Maybe fire up a Mutavault here. Well, it looks like that will be the case here in just a moment, potentially. Little gun shy is Alawar.
And with over 5 minutes left, we're not super at risk of running out of time in the round.
Pretty quick block there from Harper. There's no interest in taking 5. Does take 2, of course. Goes down to 18. Now Blood Baron gets opened up to Devour Flesh. But no 5th Lend yet again. Just another copy of Abrupt Decay. And this one, sure, it can take down Underworld Connections, but not nearly as good as the first one.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Alawar continues to draw answers. This time a Hero's Downfall added to the mix.
I imagine at the end of the game there will probably be 7 removal spells in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got access to more cards than he'll be able to hold, so he might as well just slow play the connections a little bit, deliver some Mutavault Erebos beatdown, and close this one out over the course of the next 2, maybe 3 turns.
Phyrexian Arena, safe to reprint or too good?
I don't know. It's definitely a strong card, but I think if you print the right other cards in the format, Phyrexian Arena is a fine card. I think Underworld Connections is also, you know, it's very comparable in power level, obviously. Having the option to not do it is quite good, but costing a mana every turn and being vulnerable to land destruction is a non-zero price. Overall, I think they're very comparable in power level, although I give an edge to Connections, just because the option to stop is so valuable.
There's a Spectre after some damage was dealt, of course, via Erebos and Mutavault. Abrupt Decay will take care of that.
Connections is another card I'm really looking forward to rotating out.
Tired of it?
I just think that there's, you know, let the black decks have to use stuff like Erebos and Sign in Blood and a few of the slightly more modest forms of card draw.
Read the Bones.
Read the Bones, for sure, absolutely. Sign in Blood, Read the Bones, and Erebos are all totally reasonable card draw. I think Underworld Connections has a tendency to create snowbally games that sometimes there's just no coming back on.
You played Read the Bones in...
And Connections, are you kidding?
Oh, right, Connections is blocked. Sorry, I forgot that's going to be what...
Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking about in Dublin. In Dublin, we played both.
Yeah, in Dublin you played both, yeah.
And then played Read the Bones in Theros.
4 or just a couple?
No, just a couple.
Okay. No, I remember you playing both in Theros. Read the Bones is like... I think like super good and just underplayed because Connections is a card, but once Connections leaves, I think we're going to see a lot of copies of Read the Bones.
Yeah, the biggest thing that's going to be holding back Read the Bones is that Sign in Blood is in M15. Kind of an exciting reprint. Part of I like Read the Bones better. I think it's a stronger card, but the nice thing about Sign in Blood is that it's a 2-drop in a deck that could really appreciate. It's got there's an overwhelming supply of good options at 3.
Yeah.
So having some nice options at 2 is kind of sweet.
You see some exchange of damage there between Alawar and Harper. Alawar's down to 7.
Discarding 3 cards.
Yeah, using his life total to draw cards. Harper's at 6. Has the ability to drop a Courser of Crufix right now if he'd like, but I think he knows, just like you do at home, that thing is not long for this world. The top card is an Advent of the Worm, and I think Alawar will quickly untap, probably kill that, and take care of Jesse Harper. So we will watch that in action. You see a Hero's Downfall come rolling off the top. This is an ultimate price to take care of that. And that is an extension of the hand. Raid Alawar is going to win this match over Jesse Harper 2-1. Mono Black Devotion dispatches Junk mid-range. And Alawar moves on to 5-0.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic start. Obviously a tough way to end on the Mola 4. But Harper's still at 4-1. Very, very much in contention.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of tournament left to go. We've got over half of this thing left to do. And predictably, as you can see the clock there in the middle, that is our last round for this round. So